Hi, I'm Kurt Vile, and these are Records in My Life.
Took my hand and made myself a bet. There was all these things that I don't think I remember. Yeah, lucky I can't one.
Oh, there he is. I can hear him. Hi, Kurt.
Hi.
How are you?
Pretty good, actually. I mean, staying out of trouble. When people are like staying out of trouble, it's like, but you got no choice.
Exactly. Thanks so much for being on Records in My Life. Really, really appreciate it. So tell me a bit about the EP and who you worked on with it. And
I will.
Please.
The EP is was done in Nashville with an engineer named Dave Ferguson, who was friends with John Prine. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of great guests. Pat McLaughlin is a favorite. He's on every song on the EP, and it's very Nashville and country influenced. A couple of my own songs, 2 John Prine songs, one of which John guested on. A couple days before New Year's Eve of this year, and then a couple days later I sat in with him at the Grand Ole Opry. So it's
it must have been. I mean, I read a little bit about it, obviously, but it must have been quite exciting for you to play with one of your idols, one of the more influential artists in your life. Were you nervous or ecstatic?
I was nervous, and I'll tell you, it wasn't even the first time I've played with him on stage, but I was planning to come to see John at the Grand Ole Opry. I'd never been there. I've seen him at the Ryman. I've seen him all over the world, actually. But the first time I sat in with him was on stage at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco, and that's one of my favorite festivals ever. And that was the year I toured with Courtney Barnett, and we played a different stage, and our sets overlapped. I didn't know our sets were going to overlap, and I literally played the last note of the Courtney set, and I jumped in a golf cart with like 5 beers in my hand, because it was like the tail end of when I was drinking for various reasons, and it was fun. I took it to the limit, but anyway, we jumped on this golf cart, and I thought I'd have a couple songs before he called me on stage, but sure enough, I got onto the side stage and he saw me there, and he's like, "Now I'd like to introduce, Kurt Vile," and I just awkwardly spun on stage, and we played "Speed of the Sound of Loneliness," which is the first track on this EP. And then I got the crazy idea to, while we were in the studio finishing the EP with Ferg, I said, "Ferg, why don't you give John a call and see if because I got him to agree to do How Lucky on the Grand Ole Opry. So I said, why don't you get him over here and we can play it together and figure out an arrangement, and you can record it." And it was as simple as a phone call, and he was there in a couple hours, basically. So a lot of magic, a lot of magic. It was like, I don't know, that sort of love and knowledge and love of country music, and people like John Prine and Cowboy Jack Clement, and a couple of my own songs on there, just to it's just well balanced, and it's quite a time capsule, and it's pretty emotional. It's an emotional scene. I'm real proud of it.
That's fantastic. Did you a little bit off the subject, though, you're mentioning about reading about country, and did you ever get to read the memoirs or the autobiography on the Louvin brothers? Just wondering if you
Thank you. I've heard great things about that, and no, but I'll add that to the list, because there's nothing like, once you read about the country people who can play circles around anybody, first of all.
That's incredible.
And they're often 20 times or more crazier than any rock and roller. Make rock and rollers look like a bunch of posers, So, yeah, and I've heard great things about that Louvin brothers, because it was like, they were like Jekyll and Hyde, right?
Yes, tortured, and they are the epitome of the country, the dirty road, tortured soul, religion.
Oh yeah,
the religion is a big
alcohol.
Yes.
one, yeah, I'm the modern suburban version of. I grew up with religious family, and we all get along and love each other lots. But I've definitely had plenty of guilt in my life, and plenty of abuse, substance abuse. Not plenty, but some. It's
Sure.
like Jekyll and Hyde.
Sure. So I mean, you started playing coffee houses I'm guessing around Philadelphia, in the surrounding areas. I don't know the whole tri-state areas. What albums were you like kind of glomming onto that at such a young age? Because a lot of kids, they don't want to play coffee houses. They'd rather play whatever Motley Crue or Nine Inch Nails or what it be.
And I will say there was cool stuff in on alternative radio coming out then where it was getting a little weird. In like 91, the year punk broke, as they say, I was 11, and Nirvana was cool and all those grunge bands were cool, and they definitely inspired me. But by the time I was 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, 95, 96, 97, there was this other weird thing, and it was playing on like modern rock radio. Like I heard Pavement, for instance, Cut Your Hair on that station, and the earliest Beck, like Mellow Gold, you can't mess with that. I saw one crucial Lollapalooza, I think it was 95, where it was Sonic Youth were the headliner, and it was Beck, and it was Pavement, and it was Cypress Hill, Jesus Lizard,
Wow.
Somebody crucial I'm forgetting, but I loved all those bands, and I still love them. Like Sonic Youth, the Diamond Sea, that's what they would end with, and I still look to that song, that 20-minute Diamond Sea. Sonic Youth were at some kind of peak on that record washing machine, and such beautiful noise combined with melody, and they were at the peak of some kind of like classic rock thing. They got kind of experimental after. They've always been experimental, but they went on the avant-garde thing not long after that with their self-releases. But literally I heard Loser on the radio once, and I went to my local CD shop, and my brother actually bought me. I was like, oh, can I have the new Beck album? He's like, it's not even out yet, but here's the single. And it was a CD single of Beck, Loser, and it had a song called Alcohol at the end. It's like a slow 12-string alcohol leaving me dry, and now it's time for pie, which is funny, but it's like so deep. And apparently that was the last thing that Rob Schnapf ever recorded for that Mellow Gold album. And Rob Schnapf recorded my song Pretty Pimpin' and some of my other favorites like Wild Imagination and the title track Bottle It In from this last record. He's a soulmate, one of my best friends at this point. I can't wait to work with him again out in LA. He's also recorded Elliott Smith and things like that, all of his records. But anyway, he to me, and during Believe Him Going Down, we were like self-producing it, and I was like, I don't know how we're going to finish this on our own. And he reached out, and I was like, it's Rob Schnapf, the guy who did Beck's first album and started Bongload with somebody, the label, without somebody else, with somebody else. And so that was my initial allure to Rob Schnapf, but we've developed our own thing since then, and he's like a father, so there's some rambling around.
That's great. Tell us. Sorry, go on.
No, you go on.
I was going to ask you about the Philadelphia scene, because it's been a pretty vibrant scene over the last, I'm going to say, decade and a half. Like hot bands like Hop Along, Beach Slang, of course, Cheer Mag, War on Drugs, and yourself. Are there any other? Can you give us a scoop on any other bands that?
You mentioned some of that's like the newer guard, but out of all those bands you mentioned, that I love Hop Along. I love her voice. I never heard. I love what I heard. I never heard their albums, but I've seen her live, and I love her voice. And I love Sheer Mag. I have a couple of their albums, and I think they're amazing, and kind of the rawest, catchy rock thing I've heard out of here in a while. But I feel like there's a talk about rock and roll, Purling Hiss, who
right.
before that was in Birds of Maya. Two good friends of mine. Wow, it looks like these lights. There's like horns on my head. That's cool. But anyway, yeah, Mike Polizze. He's an incredible guitar player. He shreds, and he just came out with a solo record. But Mike Polizze is Purling Hiss. He was first a guitar player in Birds of Maya, then he went on to be Purling Hiss, which is his solo endeavor. And I got the label Woodsis to put out one of his records, his second album called Public Service Announcement, which the first record of his was really fried. I think it was called Dizzy Polizze. And the second record is also fried guitar, but it's got catchy songs as well and acoustic songs. I love that record, Public Service Announcement. But flash forward, we've toured together. I brought them on their first tour, Purling Hiss, but then Mike finally recently put out a solo record, very recently on a talk about the Philly scene. Paradise of Bachelors is a label with one leg in Philadelphia and the other in down in North Carolina, I believe. But anyway, they put out a solo record of Mike Polizze's that I love called Long Solace Finds. And not only that, but asked me to be involved. And I planned to be involved a lot, but then when it came down to it, I got really busy on tour and I just came over and recorded played on several songs. I think 5 songs in one day with Jeff Ziegler, who's also a quintessential engineer, producer from, the early 2000s that I worked with. He did my Childish Prodigy album, then he worked with the War on Drugs. After that, Adam, knew Jeff through me. First it was my music, and then he recorded the War on Drugs. And anyway, he did a great job on this new solo Mike Polizze record. And also, so that's on Paradise of Bachelors, and another artist from Paradise of Bachelors, whose first record was on Paradise of Bachelors, who's from my hometown of Lansdowne, and he moved to New York, but he's still very Philly, is Steve Gunn.
Oh,
He's
sure.
an incredible guitar player. His last record, Tony Garnier from Bob Dylan, the Bob Dylan's bass player, basically his band leader or arranger, I forget what you call it. But anyway, he played on the last record, and I don't know. So just, it just shows Philly's...
There's something good brewing there. Something in the water.
Something in the water. And I'm glad to be home because I feel like I'm making my Philly record now, which I haven't made a full-on Philly record since Childish Prodigy, which is my first Matador album, and all my early home recordings. And I feel I'm getting my various home zones together in a more professional way. I got an old friend of mine who moved to Philly, and he helps me. He's really good at engineering and setting things up, but then he's also good at building things. So, we're taking advantage of the time at home, and I'm definitely going to make some kind of Philly record.
Finally, some words of wisdom for your fans, most importantly, and our audience.
Yeah, I would just say, especially now, we're all at home. I was about to say stuck at home, but I don't feel stuck, especially now, you just focused on what's around you, what's important, and we still have music, and we still have loved ones, and connect with all your friends however you can, and this is a time where all those distractions we used to have, they don't have as much weight anymore, so you can really search within yourself and find out what's important and just be there for everybody, and these are, and like you said, these are crazy times. We need to think about what's important and get out there, and you gotta vote. You gotta vote the corrupt people out and all those things. Just try and let's try and get through some heavy stuff.
Kurt, thank you so much for being on the show. We really, really appreciate it.
Let me just show you the records I was going to pick for you, but we just chatted. Just real quick. You see those?
No. Who's it? Oh, yes.
So good, right? He's the greatest. Terry Allen.
Allen, yeah, John Prine.
That's it.
Fantastic. They just re-released the Thelonious Monk at Palo Alto. They remastered it and re-released it. I don't know if you heard it, but it's pretty cool. Live at Palo, yeah.
Yeah, I have that coming my way actually. Thelonious Monk. It's probably my most listened to music during this pandemic because I can read jazz in general. I can read at the same time. Especially Thelonious Monk. And he's just unreal piano player. Let's put it that way. That's to state the obvious.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks again, my friend. Take care, and hope to see you on the road soon.
All right, take it easy.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Mark Henning, the other half of Records in My Life. Love it that you made it to the end of the video. Please leave us a comment, leave us a thumbs up, and subscribe. If you really dug the show, we'd love it if you'd consider supporting us over at patreon.com/RIMLTV. Cheers and see you next week.